All right, it's 6 o'clock. Let's call our meeting to order. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Antoine is here. Ms. Bonnick?
Here.
Mr. Connor? Here. Gus Demas? Here. Dr. Demas, I'm sorry, sir. Ms. Ikehurst?
Here.
Ms. Rice?
Here.
And Mr. Young is on his way.
All right, can we rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Demas, supported by Connor. I would just offer up that let's, if it's okay with everybody, move the second public comment up before board discussion, because we won't be voting on anything after the closed session, so that way you don't have to wait around. Is that okay? All right, with those changes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Robinson, celebrations?
So we're busy getting ready. Staff come back tomorrow and students next Monday, but we've got a couple celebrations for you tonight. Last week, we held 2 days of new teacher orientation, so you got a couple snapshots that we took to introduce our new Bulldogs to the full district tomorrow morning. But 19 of our new teachers spent 2 days with us last week, and a variety of things to kind of build some connection in between them as a cohort, connecting to our district mission, getting them their devices and, onto the district email and all that. We also spent some time on the second day in the afternoon with some safety training that included avert training for all that were there. So this is really a great group of people. We've got a mixture of some folks that are brand new to the profession and some that have experience from as little as 2 or 3 years somewhere else to as much as 14 years in a few different districts. So we're excited to bring them on board. We actually have a few more. Oh, is that our Amber Alert that keeps coming through?
Is that what I'm like?
Okay. So we do have a handful of teachers, as the board knows. You've got a couple of updated sheets for the personnel update with some folks that we've been able to onboard in the last 48 hours. So we'll get them up to speed, and I think one thing that is true to the district is new people get a ton of support, and you might even see a little bit of representation of that tonight in one of our other celebrations. Another annual tradition this time of year is we take those youngest learners who are new to their elementary buildings, and we give them a special evening event to come to the building that has a little different twist at each of our buildings, but it's to get both child and adults comfortable with school. That there's a highlight of a bus ride in there for many of them who have never been on a school bus. We also, if you remember, committed to having some open houses, a special time for those families that are moving to a new building, Havel or Washington, due to the redistricting that was approved last spring. So some goodies and some fun activities, and this hopefully will break the ice for those families when they come back for the start of school next week. The other tradition that happens this time of year is Bulldog Days. So I've got some pictures there from high school Bulldog Days, actually. The 9th grade team comes over and they do it all at the 10-12 building. So we also had that at Romeo Middle School. Some of the plans for Romeo Middle School that were outside were kind of dampened because we had bad weather that day. But this kind of starts to really pique the excitement for the start of the school year for our kids, and we're grateful for all the staff that kind of help create the manpower for all the stations to get kids ready for school. The other thing that goes on this time of year is, the board knows that we have this special group of student leaders, the Link Crew program at Romeo High School, and they go through a couple of mornings of training, preparing for their role for this school year. And the Link Crew helps us in a variety of ways, but the most important way is they're really there to help provide support for both our 9th and 10th graders. With the 9th grade academy being in its own building here, we also have a transition for our sophomores because they're going into the new building up at the high school, so they provide support for that. So they do a variety of activities to build the relationship within the group and get ready to support their classmates as we come to the school year. So we took some steps at our last meeting in the personnel update because we were just trying to get in front of, at our last special meeting. So I'm converting what would have happened traditionally in a personnel update to a celebration. And I am excited, if I can get to welcome Mrs. Van Staveren to Romeo. We are pleased to introduce Rita to you as the new principal of Hamilton Parsons Elementary. She is she has hit the ground running, and just, it's been crazy, I know, Rita, but you're doing good. At some point in time, your body will tell you it's time to sleep, whether you're ready or not. So we're excited to just have the opportunity to introduce her to the board
Does she have anybody
and
to
the public.
introduce with her?
And her husband Gary is with her. Gary is also a school person. And Gary also has been an elementary principal in the past, so she's
Nice.
got some in-home wise counsel as well. So Rita, we have a tradition here that we do the row of handshakes and get a picture of you with the board president, and then we'll get you on to the rest of your evening. Okay, come on up. Congratulations.
Welcome.
Thank you. You guys got good energy here. Thank you so much.
My sister's name is Rita.
It
So,
is?
Rita and Anita. I know, crazy.
All right, all you came out, so you gotta come up and get in a picture too. Come on. Come on.
No, those are the Hampar staff.
Leave your stuff. Quick
Come
picture.
on.
Oh, they come bearing gifts.
This past, week, I would set up 30-minute appointments to meet with everyone, so I'm so glad, I've met them.
Yay.
All right, group in there.
I love my staff. They may be the best staff.
You guys all in? Oh.
I'm photobombing. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm hugging everybody down. Thank you for coming. I said you guys, right here. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. That was fun, thanks.
Anything else you want to share, Rita?
I just feel really grateful. I've been wanting this for a really long time. After 18 years in Oxford, they've taught me so much. And to make this kind of move, it was, took a lot of thoughtful decision making. And I remember walking the building and I just felt like this was the right place for me. And then after I met people too, the people really told the story. And Oxford and Romeo are very connected, so they got a pulse on me right away. Romeo was calling Oxford people, like, who's this Rita?
Yeah.
So I'm so grateful that Oxford shared good word because I think it's helped with my transition.
Yeah.
So I thank you, and give me patience, but I'm a fast learner and I care deeply, so
All right, welcome.
thank you.
Welcome.
So Hampar staff, there's a lot of super compelling things on the agenda tonight, but I know you've got to get to bed because you've got to get up early tomorrow, so we're not hurt if any and all of you head on to the rest of your night. That's it for celebrations.
All right, moving on to consent action. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent action?
Motion?
Moved by Demus. Can I have a support?
Support?
Support by Ikorst, I think. Was that Ikorst? This includes our general fund bills, our financial reports, wire transfer report, purchasing card expenditures, the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on July 24th, approval of the minutes of the special meeting on August 7th, and the first reading of board policy update, which both minutes came out to you, and then it was also in your packets. So you still have time to ask questions or get any clarity on any of those policies before the final reading. So with that, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Oh, Mr. Young is here. Moving on to informational updates. First one is communications.
Sorry. Just, we had our kind of first countywide superintendent's meeting looking ahead to this year, and information will be coming out, but they asked us to just share with our boards at the next meeting that the first County School Boards Association meeting of this year will be September 26th in Fraser, and they'll be getting more information out, hopefully before the holiday, in regards to RSVPing and the such. The other thing, Mrs. Bonnet, I just felt like it was a good time. I know Mr. Connor reached out to myself and you about his interest in attending the fall MASB conference. So I know in the past, we've just wanted to make sure if there was other interest before we decided how many the board would send and that. So I just wanted to make sure to mention that tonight.
We do keep our budget for the board to do those, you know, it's limited. We do try to share the wealth since we do have two new board members. Wanted to make sure you have time to check your calendars and see if it's something you'd want to attend and/or anybody else. And then, of course, if there's a lot of interest, then we'll decide what process we want to use. But certainly want to give our new board members an opportunity first. Sometimes it's just bad timing, so don't feel bad if you can't. There's always local courses and things to take as well, but it is a good conference, but it does hit right when everything in your life is full swing if you have
Yeah.
school-age children.
I attended the conference this past week. It was on Zoom, so thank you to the district for sending me or allowing me to do that, so I can update, give any updates at a future time.
Sure.
What we learned from that.
So why doesn't everybody look at their calendar and within the next, week and a half, if you'll let me know if you have an interest in attending? Does that one, do they give you a one day, I don't remember, does that one, can you choose the whole conference or can you choose 1 day, 2 day? Well,
I
Antoinette,
think the heart of the conference is 2, and then you can add.
you can add, so
On either end of it.
just look out and anybody on the board that is interested, just send to me and then we'll kind of put it out to everybody, how many we have and what the budget would look like.
What city is it in this year?
That's in Lansing. I think it's November 9th through the 12th. I believe it's November 9th through the 12th. It's in Lansing, which is, not too far to drive, really.
No.
What's 90 miles, I think?
Yep. All right.
That's it for communications. We have 3 committee meetings to report on.
All right, so first up is curriculum. Which of you lovely people were planning to do the curriculum update?
I asked the other two if they wanted. I didn't get a response, but that's okay. Basically, the meat of what we talked about was the new updates to the parent-student handbook. So that was sent out over the weekend, and there was a lot in there. So hopefully you got to read that. I don't need to reiterate it right now, unless you have questions.
Nope.
It was the shortest curriculum meeting I've ever been a part of.
And facilities. I attended, but you want to do that, Mike?
I can do it.
Sure.
And Chris and Anita can fill in.
Sure.
Facilities Committee, myself, Ms. Bonnick, and Mr. Young were present for that. We received an update on the two-way radio project for district communications over the radio waves. And we learned that, everybody got their radios, and we were hoping that it would be operational by 8/18. Did we make that date?
We didn't make 8/18, but we're pretty close.
We're pretty close.
I think by tomorrow we should be good.
Sure, so that's good. And then we got some updates on the 2021 bond projects, a construction update. We have our representatives from Barton Mallow in the back. And we learned about Croswell and that it was moving along. For the most part, it's on schedule. And there's some delays in some HVAC equipment. Just typical type construction things that we deal with, and some updates on the furniture phase 2 being brought to the board for approval. I believe that's tonight. So we'll have a resolution for that. We were updated on the Roseville Middle School. Sorry, the same initials. I apologize. The Romeo Middle School cafeteria, in that everything looks good, but there is a delay on getting some of the serving line equipment. And what we did as protection against that, knowing that it may not be delivered, is we held on to the old equipment, and we plan to use that until the new equipment arrives. Hamilton Parsons is probably ahead of schedule or on schedule. It's probably the project that's the most on schedule at this point. Things are moving along really nicely with that addition on there. We talked about parking lots. We talked about adding an overflow gravel parking lot. So we were informed about that and what that would be about. Indian Hills, again, moving along. Some couple of change orders here and there, but that's moving along as well. Sinking fund, we were updated on the sinking fund, the roof projects. We're well underway. There were a little delays because of the rain that we had or have been having. We learned that we had some immediate needs that came up. The pool boiler and heat exchange came up, and we have swim. We're right in the middle of swim right now for the girls. And and there was a part that was available, and we needed to get that in, and the water was getting cooler by the day, as we were told. So they're going to get that taken care of. Romeo Middle School sewage grinder is something else that they needed some work on that came up. And this is specifically what the sinking fund is for, these types of projects that happen. The administration building, they were looking at doing some roof fixes, and they found some brickwork and tuck pointing that needed to be done. So that's being taken care of. And that, they're doing some planning. We may see some stuff in October, December for the new baseball fields, softball fields, the Washington and Amanda Moore additions, and the Hevel STEM room renovation. So lots of information. That's all I have, if you guys have anything to add. Okay.
Moving on, I will do policy. Again, those were all in your packet, the meeting minutes. Just for the whole board to understand is we use Miller Johnson, and so they do lots of districts in the state of Michigan. So when they get requests from other districts, they present language that we can adopt, but we don't have to adopt. And our general thought process is we don't need to over policy things if we're not having any real need for it. So some of them you'll see that we just said we're either tabling or we'll kick that can down the road in case something spurs it, but right now we didn't feel the need. And then other ones that they give to us are dependent on the law. And so those are things that we have to adopt and legally we have to do and we put in there. And then just another reminder to the board that when we update our policies, then there's generally an administrative regulation that goes along with that, and that's the day-to-day how that policy gets administered. And so sometimes in this, you'll also see the language for the administrative policy. So they're all in there. Again, we did our first reading, so there's lots of time before we do the second reading. So reach out to any of us that were on the committee, or Julia or Todd, if you have any questions. And that's it for policy.
So just looking ahead, a couple of the upcoming dates for finance and facilities. Academic services, couple things from Mrs. McFarland and Mr. Murray.
Good evening. Just want to give you a quick update on some of the things we have coming up. Start of the school year obviously is quickly approaching, and so I've got lots of learning to do, and then, just get ready to batten down the hatches for the kids coming. So it's an exciting time, as you know. For us at the elementary level, we have some nice professional development planned the next 2 days. After the welcome back, our elementary buildings will go back to their own schools and engage in some professional learning that principals have set up for them. Things around culture, curricular work, play works, caring school community, just, some of that building PD that they honestly don't get enough time for, on August 22nd. And then the 23rd is a huge day for us. I think one of the biggest days we've had at the elementary level in Romeo in quite a while. It's our CKLA kickoff. And so teachers will receive a full day's worth of training, our kindergarten through second grade at Hevel and our third through fifth grade at Washington Elementary School. In conjunction with that, as you know, now in the state of Michigan, there'll be universal breakfast and lunch, K-12. And so the breakfast portion poses a significant challenge at the elementary level, so just in terms of logistics. And so we've been working right alongside the Romeo Education Association on a collaborative effort to put our heads together to find a plan that makes sense, allows kids to eat who want to eat, but also doesn't impact instructional time too much. And so we're working through, I think it's going to be a really good plan. Just want to give a shout out to L&L Products. I mean, they have supported us so much, but I just got a call the other day from them. They had a number of loaded backpacks for us to distribute to kids in need, and then some cash that they were willing to spend on our schools. I think it was about $400 or $500. We connected them with a couple of our principals who had identified some needs, and so I didn't hear back on exactly what was bought, but again, the continued support is just awesome. And then along the lines of elementary furniture, phase one of our elementary furniture implementation is just about done. Final walkthrough at Hevel is scheduled for Thursday morning before our 5D training. It's been a fairly smooth process, a few hiccups here and there, but that's to be expected with a project of that type of scale. So we've got the new stuff in, and we are able to donate almost all of the old stuff to a nonprofit organization that will then in turn donate to places that need school furniture. So it's a good time to be an elementary person in Romeo.
Secondary is a pretty good place to be too, Mr. Murray. Much like the elementary teachers, tomorrow and Wednesday, we have PD planned. The middle school transformation is upon us with our partners with Ford NGL. So tomorrow afternoon, Scott Palmer and I will be working with staff only to build upon what we did at the May staff meeting. And then on Wednesday, we're really excited. We have parents and students and some of our community partners, along with our teachers, to continue the journey and begin working on what our tactics or action plan topics might be with the middle school team for this fall. So it's really exciting. Piggybacking off of that, our high school team, some of you may have attended our March Academies kind of business partner retreat in March, and we got feedback on our original profile of a graduate. So this summer, our administrative team and then some ninth grade teachers' feedback, we've updated and we have a draft of a new profile of a graduate. So our middle school teachers and teams are going to be able to work with that. And in November, we'll bring that to our Academy Advisory Board meeting so our business partners can see what we did with their feedback. It's really user-friendly and it's really Romeo. So I'm really excited about it. I believe our summer school program ended after, our July board meeting, so lots of good feedback. We had, I would say, probably close to 170 kids going into kindergarten all the way up to kids that are going into ninth grade. So successful program. Hopefully our grant money continues and we can run some other successful programs next summer. And then just an update. We have day 4 of our 5D, which is our teacher evaluation tool that the board had approved earlier this spring. We have our 4th day this week. And then we have a day in September again with our administrators and some time with our teachers at the end of September. So we're excited about those changes that are coming. Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
Questions?
I actually had one quick question that I didn't get to in the curriculum report, but it had to do with you, Ms. McFarland. I know we talked about the changes, because we're going to be voting on it for the student parent handbook, that those would be emailed out to families or a link directing them to the new updated.
Yep. We're
Okay.
going to we talked about that with our administrators at our ALT meeting this afternoon. So
So
yep, those
parents
things will get out to parents.
Are aware
Yep,
of that. And, so
absolutely.
you guys know that before we go ahead and vote on it. Thank you.
Thanks for reminding.
Anything else? Okay. A couple things. Some you have seen live tonight, others are still in the making. So in the area hiring, I think we've turned a corner. So far, knock on wood, no more surprise, leaves or resignations right at the tail end of the summer here. And we've been working hard. I appreciate the diligence of our leadership team to just keep the efficacy of our hiring process, even though there's a sense of urgency, especially with our teaching positions, to try and get people in this week if possible, because of all the things, most namely because the students are coming next Monday. We've got our Hamilton Parsons principal. We are down to a lead finalist. Had a conversation Saturday and offered the position for the communications and marketing coordinator. Have a little bit more conversation to do, pulled Julia into that conversation, so hoping to land that and be able to update you. We don't have a formal acceptance of the offer at this time, but I anticipate getting there at some point this week. The series of teaching positions, we've been able to take care of our elementary vacancies in the traditional classrooms. The 2 yellow colored sheets at your table tonight are the updated personnel update. You'll see 3 additional elementary teachers that have been added to that are ready and into onboarding to jump into training in that this week. We did fill about a week and a half ago that intensive resource room position at Hevel. There's still one part-time resource special ed position we're going to begin the year with a sub in because we have to see the caseload. We've got some concerns that maybe that needs to be a full-time position across 2 buildings. So, but we've got a sub to begin the year with in that position. One of our high school teachers in medical sciences received kind of a quasi-CT leadership position in another district in the county, so she's recently resigned her position. We're going to start the year and make sure we take the time to find the right qualified person. This teaching position can be one of those areas where it's an industry person that is interested in transitioning into education. So sometimes those things make it more seamless, and sometimes it means we got to take a little bit more time to make sure they're qualified. Support staff, we're continuing to fill a variety of positions. A special shout out for school-age childcare. Our SAC program still needs some help. We've got a few paraprofessional vacancies, but we've been able to fill most of the vacancies we have for this year and continuing to work to finish those hopefully before the end of the first week of school. We've heard Mr. Antoine did a great job of updating from the facilities meeting. I just, you know, I specifically wanted to allow the opportunity if there was any questions in terms of the Croswell Phase 2 furniture proposal, or those couple other resolutions on the agenda tonight. I have Mr. Bollinger and Mr. Tolis here. If there's any questions in regards to that prior to the board taking action. Good on that? Okay. In terms of, you know, just the ongoing process on the sale of 297 Prospect, just want to update, you know, for the group that's here, that I think we'll hear from many of them, and then also maybe the wider community at large. The board did hold a special meeting on August 7th to follow up on the discussion that we had after tabling the resolution at our July regular meeting. So good conversation for the board there. The board will have attorney-client privileged update tonight in closed session with our consultant and legal counsel that's been helping us. And then, you know, the possibility if the board is ready to call a special meeting in the near future to take up the resolution again. If the board is not, then, you know, we'll wait and it could be further discussion. We have one September meeting, the fourth Monday, I think it's September 25th, so that's a ways off, and probably why you guys may consider a special meeting. You've heard about opening day tomorrow, so certainly welcome. We've kind of shifted in the past couple of years, we've done a lunch, so we've had people go to their buildings and then come midday to have lunch and do a short presentation. Because everyone's PD tomorrow is at their buildings, we've decided to shift to breakfast, and got a few things that I'm going to speak to the staff on in terms of connecting to kind of what we're calling the foundation, our mission, vision, and values with the strategic plan, and then kind of launching this year's annual theme, and invited some high-energy high school students to join the end of the fun. So despite the fact that it'll be a little bit early in the morning, my comments need a little support, so I solicited the help of some of our high school students to help just create some excitement as we send primarily our teachers off to get ready for the start of this school year. That's all I have for tonight.
All right. I did not receive any public comment on anything we're voting on. Is that true? Just want to make sure. All right. Moving on, can I have a motion for Employee Services Resolution 69, which is the personnel update?
Motion.
Moved by Young, supported by Connor. Any questions? The update is on the yellow sheet. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is Academic Services Resolution number 70, which is the RCS Student Parent Handbook, which had updates. Can I have a motion?
Support.
Moved by Demus, supported by Connor. Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is Facilities Resolution 71, which is the Cordis Construction Change Order for the Hampar Temporary Parking Lot.
Motion.
Support.
Young and Connor, questions, concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one is Resolution number 72, which is the Hicks Construction Change Orders. Those are the Croswell doors and secured entry.
Motion.
Moved by Antoine.
Support.
Support by Demus. Questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Facilities Resolution 73, which is the Croswell Early Childhood Furniture Proposal, Phase 2.
So move.
A move by Connor, support by Demus. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Facilities Resolution 74, which is the pool boiler replacement proposal.
Motion.
Moved by
Support.
Antoine.
Support.
Support by Rice. Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to public comment. And I have Matt Scully. And just a reminder, it's 3 minutes. We'll set a timer so you'll kind of hear the alarm go off. That'll be easier than me interrupting you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And all board members, thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I'm here along with many of the residents of the community and a group that you're aware of that we formed since learning of the plans for the prior Romeo Middle School site. Matt Skelly, I live directly across from the property. I've raised a large family in Romeo Community School System, and we appreciate you understanding that the vote tonight, I understand the vote's not on the agenda tonight, but it's paramount that, you know, when we do vote on this resolution that, you know, I'm speaking of the RFP process underway to determine, you know, the fate of the Romeo site, inclusive of its 3 parcels and the dedicated public road that's adjacent to those parcels. And it's paramount you acknowledge as a board what a unique opportunity this represents. These parcels are in the center of a historic village. You'll be responsible as a board and an individual of what literally will stand the test of time for more than 100 years, for generations to come. It's rare acreage becomes available for development in the center of a historic village. It's a unique opportunity to leave a footprint, and recognizing that the goal of the Board of Education is to prepare your facilities and students for the community. But it's also, you know, paramount that what you leave behind is equally critical. This is a rare site. This is a site that it puzzles our myself and members of our growing group as to why we're encouraging the max density proposal as set forth in your documentation that you had out for request for proposal. The original property facts, again, these are your documents that were out on LoopNet, suggest that it was 1 parcel at 4.64 acres. But clearly, we understand from your N249 1 document that NF Engineers had presented, it's really 3 parcels with a road that runs through that parcel that would require some zoning, rezoning. Further, the 17 homes that were proposed in the document, also same N249 SP-1, suggests 17 homes be developed or could possibly be developed if, in fact, the zoning is approved and required. But as a board, you know, we, as a group, feel that the RFP process isn't in line with, you know, the desires of the community. In particular, the zoning situation requires a village board's position on the public land. We're, I guess, asking you to vote no and revise a process guided by the village board that captures
On 3 minutes.
the will of the people. And one last note I will leave with you. Just down the street, there was a home that was developed 18 years ago, and if you look, it's about 5 homes from the north, to the north on Sisson. It's a home that was developed that looks historic, and you pause for a moment, you take a look at it, it fits with the community. We can't imagine, I can't imagine, as this group can't imagine, 17 homes plucked in the middle of a historic village with disregard to all of the historic nature of the village and the homes surrounding it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Richard Corey.
Once again, thank you. A couple things that we know for sure. At the last meeting, you had a motion to sell the property, and you couldn't get a second. So you had 5 people at the meeting, 1 person made the motion, so you had 4 that didn't say anything, so the motion died. So that to us was very positive, that 4 of you, and that's all we really need, 4 out of 7 to vote against that. So that, I thought that was very positive. So that's one thing we know, and we also know the superintendent wants Clearview 17 houses. How do I know that? We met together, and we met for an hour, and after the hour, we kind of just said we didn't accomplish anything because he wants 17 houses, we want less. So then Mr. Robinson did talk about the closed session that you had a week ago. We don't know anything, what happened there, so. And that kind of brings us to tonight, and now you got another closed session. So I would suggest, I don't know if any of you did this or not, but I did give you the name from the guy at Planning and Zoning over at the county. He works with Parks and Recs over there. And he said that there's grants, there's a lot of things you can do with that property, but he wants to meet with you. And I said I'd meet with him, but I'm not a body anymore, I'm just me. So that would be something you could talk about tonight. You could also talk about alternatives. And if you do put out another RFP, you should get the village involved. Because if it's true what Matt said, that there's a street going through there now, somebody made a big mistake. There's no rush to do the high-density cookie-cutter subdivision. We were promised that you would take less money for the property and less density. And on a personal note, I know some people might think I'm just a 74-year-old man that lives next door complaining about this. My roots run a little deeper. In 1973, right out of college, I worked at the youth center and I took it over. I was the director of it, and I also helped start Parks and Rec. That was way back in 73. Then in 1986, I helped start Channel 6. I walked in there and all they had was a desk. And I left 25 years later. So I helped them for 25 years. And then I ran the township for 8 years. So that was a lot of fun. But Sue can relate to that. But anyways, and now come Wednesday night, I'll start my 37th year helping the Bulldogs. I'll be announcing the 9th grade game. So my roots run a lot deeper than 4 acres on Prospect Street. So when you get a chance to vote, vote no. Thank you.
Kevin Temple.
So my name's Kevin Temple. I live on Chandler Street. I purchased my home probably roughly 10 years ago. I was asked to come to this meeting. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about it. So I just wanted to, I guess, make myself known and heard. Raising a young family off Chandler Street. I purchased my home off Chandler Street and decided to live in the village of Romeo because it's a nice, quiet town. Chandler Street was a very quiet street, except for when the middle school was there, but I didn't mind that. All the school buses, it was nice to see all the kids. But definitely not in favor of seeing a high density of homes put in there. So I just please take that into consideration. We do have some young families on the street and would appreciate I bought it because I liked living in town. To see a subdivision or something like that go in would just be hard to see. So thank you.
Mary Meisner.
Some of my comments are a little repetitive, but listen, I'll be quick. It's in regard to the non-agenda item, the Prospect Street property, even though at the last board meeting, it was tabled till the next meeting when more board members could be present. The RFP was flawed from the beginning because it included Thompson Place property, which is owned by the Village of Romeo. There's been no request for a pre-planning meeting with the Village Planning Commission. A few citizens group members who live close to the property have conversed with the superintendent from time to time about what's happening with the Prospect Street property. And his response was, nothing, don't worry about it. But now that Clearview Builders are front and center, the story changes. Been working on it for 2 years. They could only take him at his word because there has been no visible large marketing signs posted on the property, unlike the Kreiderman online auction signs relating to the sale of the building contents before the demolition. I hope that all you board members can appreciate the citizens group feelings and the lack of trust regarding this potential sale. You live in the school district, pay taxes, and hopefully represent us in the best possible way. Richard Corey's citizen group is open to the public and all are welcome. The group is at a disadvantage because there has been no notice of a town hall meeting regarding this important decision. That would have helped with the lack of transparency. The group doesn't have the advantage of the school lawyers, the executive sessions, etc. We appreciate that that the Prospect Street property is a Romeo Community Schools asset, but so is the 35-acre valuable parcel at 29 and Mound, and there is no urgency for that sale. What is the rush? Please vote no and start this process over. Thank you.
Thomas Riley? Ridley.
And Tom Ridley, 307 Chandler. It's become very clear to me that the one guiding principle behind this whole affair is to increase the number of students, period. If you keep that in mind, it explains all of the actions that I've seen so far. Now, if you were the board of directors for a corporation, that would be your job, to increase the size of an organization. But you're an elected body. You are elected by us, and you represent us. There are not two opinions in this room. There is just one, our opinion. We speak as one voice. You represent us. If there was two opinions, there would be another group sitting somewhere else here with that other opinion. We've never heard for any other opinions. Now, this RFP is fatally flawed. It's been pointed out already. It's not one parcel. It's 3 parcels plus a road. This is not the way to go down. We need to start over again. And I'm going to ask that by starting over, you include a representative from our community to be with you through this, that when you do not dictate to the builder what your terms are, let the builder come up with their ideas. And make sure that this is sent out on all channels so that as many builders can be aware of this and as many ideas can be evaluated. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Elizabeth Miller?
I have visual aids, so give me 2 more seconds. Thank you for listening to us tonight. As educators, as a school board, you all champion increased hands-on learning tools, updated AV equipment, learning aids, etc. We agree and we understand the impact of visual aids. Perhaps the aids I have brought tonight will help to emphasize the impact of not having one of these on any corner of Prospect Street or Chandler Street. No newspaper ad, no online notice, and only one low-used online site. This, after almost every neighbor reaching out to the administration, and in fact, additionally, one of the bidders, a Mr. Solaris that I spoke with this afternoon, reached out a year before this property was made available on the one obscure site. No for sale sign was put up. Not one that looked like this, not a smaller one that looked like this, not one that looked like this, not one that looked like this, or to change it up to be a little bit different of color, not even one like this. I attempted to get one from a real estate agent today and was not able to pull one, but these for sale by owners, had you even just put one of these up, some of my neighbors and I would have inquired and asked some more questions. We would have been present. Mr. Solari gave my permission to say about our conversation today, just to be brief, because I have so many points. He said he was turned down after meeting with Mr. Robinson and said he was turned down because he wasn't selling, there weren't enough homes in his plan. He had his own staff members, of over 100 people that work for him who are willing to bring students, their own children, to move in, build houses on that property, and bring their students from other districts. And there were at least 10 children in that lot of dedicated letters that said that they wanted to build houses on that property. You are setting the village of Romeo up for an absolute disaster of a development fight. This is the classic case of it's turning into the fox and the gingerbread man. You all know that story? A sly and hungry fox saw the gingerbread man and said, "Jump on my tail, I'll take you across the river." The gingerbread man thought to himself, "I'll be safe on his tail," so he jumped on the fox's tail, and they started across the river. I'm not going to say who's the fox and who's the gingerbread man, but we do not appreciate being told repeatedly, it's not being voted on tonight, so you don't need to show up. And then we find out later that it was in discussion. That's not transparency. My mother taught me when I was young, and I have taught my children since, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Please vote no to sell 297 Prospect Street under the current RFP. Involve your community with full transparency. We deserve that. Thank you. Oh, sorry. One last major thing. I pulled up your budget for 23-24. Your budget is $75,375,730. $75 million, correct? Your fund balance is $9 million. The sale of a property of just a little over $800,000 is not going to impact this year's budget. Please listen to your neighbors, listen to the voters, and listen to your community, please. Thank you.
Rob Wing. Rob Wing.
School Board members, Dr. Robinson, thank you for the opportunity to chat tonight. My name is Rob Wing. Our home is on 260 Church Street, directly behind the property in question on the northeast corner of Chandler and Church. My wife and I have lived there for over 20 years. We had a very recent conversation, and I think this says a lot about the situation, recently with a resident that is actually considering selling their home if these 17 homes or something like that happens. They're considering selling their property on Chandler. A family has just recently bought a home on Chandler within, I think the closing was within the last week or so. Do they even know what's happening? We should not be asking ourselves these kinds of questions. This is very, very critical. As Romeo is, this property not only affects the people you've heard from tonight, it affects people that might not even know that this is happening, and certainly people that come from afar and come to Romeo. This is something we have to make sure that all the residents are involved and that let's work together. We can all work together on this. This is not one against the other. A no vote allows us to work together. Do not do something that you cannot undo. If it's a matter of money, let the residents decide how to pay the school district for the property and let the village aid in the development, not the other way around. Please vote no. This is what matters right now. Thank you.
Michael Hammond.
Hello, my name is Michael Hummin. I live on 308 Prospect, right across the street from the old property, and thank you for your time tonight and having us have comments. So I'll start with it. It has become apparent that the plans for the development of this land is completely and utterly tone deaf. The perception is that this board wants high-density housing based on how the RFP process has developed thus far. People who move to Romeo and or consider to move to Romeo, specifically the village, they appreciate the charm, unique historic homes, and the overall feeling of a slow-paced small town, along with great schools, so that's not an issue here. But those looking to move here are escaping from high-density areas such as Macomb Township, Warren, Sterling Heights, so on and so forth. I recently moved from Clinton Township to Romeo. For the board members who've grown up in Romeo, moved to Romeo, and/or the surrounding neighborhoods, started a family, and are sending their kids to Romeo schools, I believe you would value the same things about our village. This development taints our village, especially for the residents who live within its boundaries. At this point in time, it feels like that there are a few minimum board members, and along with the superintendent, that when evaluating the demographics of the village and its surrounding neighborhoods, only see dollar signs. It's a proverbial gold mine in comparison to other school districts. This development is a prime example of those select few's greed. You're going to milk this land for everything that it is worth with high-density housing without concern for the repercussions this development will have on the village, its overall perception, and what it provides for people looking to move here. I hope I can be proven wrong about this feeling. Whenever I bring up the situation around the development of this property with people who live elsewhere, they say, "What a shame, how distasteful, and devastating." To be clear, I'm not against the sale of this property. I understand you all are fulfilling a fiduciary duty, but is this really the best development plan for Romeo, our village? I ask for compassion from the elected school board members and to vote no on the sale of this property. And in spirit of building a community of collaboration, take your time and come to an amicable solution. What is the rush? Thank you.
Mary Hummin. I'm Mary Hummin. I live at 200 Church Street, right around the corner from the property. And I'd like to address with my 3 minutes just one aspect of why I would ask you to vote no on the proposal to sell the middle school property to Clearview Homes. Why do families want to live in Romeo? Families compete with other home buyers to live in the village because it offers a lifestyle different from what folks experience in the suburbs. We have a solid reputation for good, innovative schools, so I'll take this opportunity to thank you all for your part in that. People want to live here because Romeo stands out in its quaint, picturesque, historic nature. Why choose to dilute that? Why not endeavor to enhance it? No one will ever look at a high-density development of new homes in the midst of the historic district and say, "How wonderful. It's awesome what they did here." Instead, I hear in my mind an incredulous chorus of what were they thinking? What a shame. My visual aid here is an exercise of one of these things is not like the others. If you take a look at the pictures, the photographs are taken at just a few of the historic homes in the block surrounding the property, just a few of them. And I'd like to point out that one of the homes pictured is actually the bottom one on the left, and it's the largest one in your packet at the back. It was actually built only 20 years ago. It's not old. It looks old. It was built by people who had a sensitivity to what ought to be here in the village. It was built by Fred and Susan Kraft in 2003 on Chandler Street. And I'm sure you don't miss my message in sending by including this home in this packet. The photo in the center of the poster is a typical home built by Clearview. One of these things is nothing like the others. You may be thinking that my words will be better saved for the Planning Commission or the Zoning Board, and to that I say, why even open the door to a buyer whose intentions are so far afield from what is appropriate for the historic district? Whatever financial gain is earned by the sale of the property to Clearview, or any other developer for that matter, will soon be forgotten.
That gain won't even be a memory for future residents here. The development will be a presence in our midst for generations to come. Why not have it be a monument to creative problem solving, the ability to work together? Why would we want it to be a monument to haste or greed or insensitivity to the value of the historic nature of this place? I'm sure you're sensitive to the fact that there's a simmering feeling of betrayal underlying what is happening here. The school district exists to serve the residents of the district by promoting and protecting the quality of our children's education. The board is accountable to the taxpayer. You're not just any old random third party, you represent us. And this parcel of land is widely considered an exceptionally important exemplary part of the historic district. Why put that thing that's not like the others in the middle of it, and a lot of it? The volume is really objectionable. So I feel that as esteemed,
You're
trusted
about
public...
20 seconds over.
Oh, okay, that's my last sentence right here.
Okay,
Good timing.
perfect.
I feel that as esteemed, trusted public servants, this board should vote no on the sale of this property to any developer such as Clearview. I've heard nothing to indicate that they have any intention other than to build high-density cookie-cutter homes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Megan Hummin?
Hi, my name is Megan Hummin. I live on Prospect Street with my husband, who just spoke. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I know I mentioned at the past meeting that my husband and I did decide to move back to Romeo, specifically our home on Prospect, to be close to family and to start our own family. As he did mention, we wanted to get away from the high-density area, specifically Hall Road. I'm speaking today to encourage the community-elected board members to vote no in agreement with the community on the current RFP for up to 17 houses with Clearview. I believe a long-term motive for wanting this many houses by a school board would be to attract more students into the district, thus increasing yearly funding. Would this property having 17 houses truly make an impact on funding compared to the longevity of devastation it would bring to the historic value of the village? Surrounding areas have developed many subdivisions to funnel children into the district, and an additional 17 small homes would not necessarily guarantee more students. Even if families with children did move in, what if they are just children relocating that have already been in the district? What if it's parents that did decide to have their children go to private schools or be homeschooled? My understanding, based on the Plant Moran demographic report, is that we do not need to have more homes built in the village, as Romeo has a steady student population compared to other districts who have declining student populations in the local area. With smaller homes, you may actually limit potential children per household and are more than likely attracting couples looking to downsize or couples who do not have children. Since the recession, the birth rate has declined and will continue to decline. Millennials and Gen Zs can no longer afford to have many children and are even choosing to not start their families due to the rising cost of living, cost of other things such as infertility treatments, or just having to pay off overwhelming amounts of student loans. I'm not opposed to houses being built, but I'm asking that the property have homes that go with the rest of the village and that you take into consideration what the community would like to see. Overall, please consider the damage building these 17 homes within the village would place on such a unique community we call home. Please vote no on the current RFP. Thank you.
It's either Rosalie or Rosie. Rosie. Farrell.
I'm Rosie Farrell. I live at 220 North Fremont, which I cannot see the property from my house, but I walk by it every day. It's close. I am reading this for someone else who can't attend, so I'll read it. Good morning, Romeo School Board. I am writing this as I cannot attend tonight's school board meeting due to business travel. Earlier this year, the Romeo Village residents surrounding the old middle school property became aware of the under-the-radar effort to swiftly and quietly sell this property. This is after multiple residents were told by Dr. Robinson that nothing was happening with the property anytime soon. Perhaps no harm was intended at this time, but over recent months, Dr. Robinson has consistently misled the residents who came in peace and respect, expecting the same in return. 35 village residents have consistently shown up in a respectful manner to announce meetings, and this resident group is growing rapidly, with almost everyone stating that Dr. Robinson's actions concerning the property sale do not make sense and wonder what is really going on. This all started in a non-transparent way. No for sale sign was put on the property, and it was listed only in one obscure online site that few developers use. In fact, few professional developers were aware of the sale. This smells of favoritism and cronyism. This alone should make the board pause and conduct an independent investigation. Then the half-truths continue to pile on, causing further concern. Dr. Robinson stated that all residents were surveyed. We are the local residents, and none of us have been surveyed. This is very concerning, and it is starting to show a pattern of willful deceit. Once we respectfully made our concern known in public, Dr. Robinson repeatedly stated that he would ensure that we would stay informed of the sale of the property and be part of the process. However, Dr. Robinson continued to not inform us of key meetings when the property sale was on the agenda. Special meetings have been held without announcing to the public what was on the agenda items. This is not transparency. It is not ethical to hide behind closed sessions with attorney-client privilege statements without telling the public the topic. This is a public body executing public money, which is a legal obligation for transparency and openness. This is a short list of the pattern of deceit from Dr. Robinson. We do have a detailed chronological list of actions, statements, and meetings. We're choosing to stay on the high ground and not slander you or your employees, Dr. Robinson, but the circumstances look really bad, and the general public is coming to their own conclusions that this doesn't make sense. He seems to have an agenda that he's not sharing with the public and perhaps not sharing with you, the board for whom you hired and are directly responsible to oversee. We stated early and often that we would be civil and
It's
not.
been 3 minutes, and
Okay.
that was emailed to us, so we've got all that.
Well,
Just
we
so you
just
know.
say one more, you, the board, have the responsibility to be transparent and uphold the highest ethical standards. This is not transparent. Please vote no to the sale of the property under the current RFP. I also taught in this district, in this building for many, many years, so it's very close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue? Sue, I don't want to screw up your last name. I don't know if it's an F or a P. Fu? What is your last
Thank
name?
you for letting me talk. My name is Sue Posh. I live on West St. Clair in one of the homes that is historic. I own another home on Minot Street. I encourage you to vote no for this proposal. My family has been here for over 6 generations, and this proposal just does not fit the historic atmosphere of Romeo, so please vote no.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, board discussion for the good of the district? No, you needed to turn in a yellow sheet. All right, you can email us or come to our next meeting. We're not employed, just so you know. We get 0 money. We're not employed. We're elected, correct, to support the students. But we do not receive 1 dime for this, 0. So, not even a penny. In fact, it usually costs us money to be in this job, childcare and such. So, with that, any other comments? I will take a roll call or a motion to go into closed session.
I had something for board comment.
Oh,
I just wanted to remind the board and the attendees, as well as the viewers at home, to make sure to get out and support our different groups, whether it's robotics, a sports team, or something else. Peach Fest is a prime time for these organizations to really rally funds for trips or different things that they may need throughout the year. So I highly encourage, keep an eye out for the different organizations throughout Peach Fest. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? A motion to go into closed session?
Motion.
Support. Moved by Young, supported by Rice. Roll call, please.
Mr. Antoine is yes. Ms. Bonnet?
Yes.
Mr. Connor?
Yes.
Dr. Demas? Ms. Ikorst?
Yes.
Ms. Rice?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.